We cover the latest topics and trends making waves across the sport and chat with our industry's most prominent leaders, so your golf business stays one step ahead. Welcome to Golf Business Live, powered by Club Caddie. Here's NGCOA CEO Jay Karen
and owner of Augusta Ranch Golf Club and president of the PGA of America, Don Rea.
All right, welcome to the May 2025 episode of Golf Business Live, powered by our friends at Club Caddie, a show where we discuss the happenings on the trade side of the golf business. I'm Jay Karen, CEO of the National Golf Course Owners Association, and the ham to my egg, Don Rea, president of the PGA of America and owner of Augusta Ranch in Mesa, Arizona, coming to us live from where?
The National Air and Space Museum, Jay. I'm in D.C. because I'm putting family first.
I love that. You know what? This is a great metaphor because everything in golf is just taking off. It's just taking off. Okay, my man.
What do you got?
Yeah. So first of all the followers and listeners and watchers on YouTube, Facebook, X, LinkedIn, we invite your comments. This is just the Don and Rea show today. We've got no guest other than your comments. And so we got a lot of dynamic things to cover in this episode this month. This is our once a year, no guest. We just shoot the bull about the industry. So first question for you. I know you've been traveling a lot. We'll get to that in a minute, but how are things at Augusta Ranch?
You know, they're booming at Augusta Ranch. Just had a pro veteran event just this last weekend. I wasn't there because I've been on the road so much. The PGA, basically everything we do is in the month of May. I mean, I've seen everything that the PGA of America touches in the last 30 days, which is why I'm here in the Air and Space Museum. My daughter graduated from college on Saturday, and I got to get her car back to South Carolina. So her and I were driving back to South Carolina.
Wait. Thank you, Top Tracer Range. She graduated from college. Thank you, Top Tracer Range.
Yes, she was on the Top Tracer scholarship. That's a fact. But she, she hadn't been to a play in New York City. Well, she had been, but we were going to do one together. And so we saw Floyd Collins, which is a brand new play. And then we were supposed to come through DC. And she's like, I've never been to DC. And I said, well, we have to go there. I've just got this podcast I have to do. But I've been away from my family so much this month that, I knew it was the right thing to do. Now, Karen, she flew home with 3 bags because Katie had so much stuff she was moving out of her dorm. But we are excited that she graduated from Bowdoin. And I would say, let me finish the thought on Augusta Ranch. It is cool to see, the veterans. A lot of golf professionals, I think 30 plus, showed up at Augusta Ranch Golf Club so that they could do the pro veteran. A great idea by the staff. I wish I could take credit for that, but I can't. The staff at Augusta Ranch Golf Club did all of that. But, I will say it warms my heart, Jay, because, that Monday of the PGA Championship, we had the Secretary's Cup. North Florida won in a driving rain, but they were all 12 teams from across the nation were playing in the Secretary's Cup, and it's man, if it's not the greatest thing we do, it's really darn close. It's saving lives.
I love it, Don. I love it. No, it's great that you're able to spend a little family time, man. That's so important. Well, speaking of family, we got some house items I want to cover before we talk about industry issues. I want to welcome to the NGCOA family the newest director of membership for the South region, Christina Egan. She comes to us from Ballantine Country Club, where she was a membership director there, and she's got member and event membership sales experience and all that. So the members in the South United States and the non-members should be expecting to hear from Christina soon. So welcome to the family, Christina. Registration is open, folks, for the 2025 Golf Business Tech Con. We will be in Frisco, Texas, October 14th to the 15th. Excited. It's been 2 years since we've had a technology conference. And Don, we space our technology conferences every 2 years because a lot happens in the tech space in 2 years. Within 1 year, maybe not so much. 2 years, a lot happens, And so we're excited to be coming to Frisco. I think we're going to have a party at the PGA headquarters as our kind of closing reception and have some fun out there. So everybody will get to see the home quarters of the PGA of America. Very excited about that. So register today at Golf Business. I think techcon.com is the website. So love to see you there. The compensation and benefits survey for owners and operators is live. Thanks to our friends at the NGF for once again partnering with us on this invaluable resource for budgeting in 2026. You don't want to go into 2026 without knowing where the comp tables are by position, by region, by budget size, all that fun stuff. So please take a few minutes, gather your P&L, look at your HR costs, and please fill out the survey because members of NGCOA get it for free. Head to ngcoa.org/compensation to participate in our benefits and compensation package. So, or survey. So love to have that free resource for the NGCOA members. On the topics of surveys, because we actually don't survey our members very often, Don, but with the talk of tariffs and tourism and all that kind of stuff, with the context that in our Gulf Business Pulse report this year, economic uncertainty overtook labor as the number one issue on the minds of owners and operators. So we decided let's ask more questions about that among our owners and operators. And so we sent out a survey. I think we've got one coming up again. Maybe that's going out tomorrow to the members, basically diving into that. What are you fearful about? How much impact do you think the tariffs and these other things might have on your business? But more importantly, what are you planning on doing about it? That, Don, is what we want to report out on, is what are you planning on doing about it as you face uncertainty? And I think that's the gold, right? Because owners and operators that have been doing this a long time have seen many cycles, right? So if you're uncertain and you think that the dark clouds are on the horizon, or you want to prepare for them just in case, you should know by now what to do to prepare for that. So Don, maybe we'll have a conversation around that at a future Golf Business Live about, heading off and dealing with economic uncertainty. Are you feeling that, or is that in your mind at all these days? Just because that's the number one issue on owners' minds is economic uncertainty.
No, I believe it. It's funny, when I did the press conference at the PGA Championship, I got a question on tariffs, what the PGA was doing about it. And my answer simply was, listen, we try to educate our members as best we can, just like you do, Jay. And have we called some of the, the manufacturers, some of the suppliers that we deal with to find out what's happening? Certainly. I've done it as president of the PGA. I've done it as the owner of Augusta Ranch Golf Club. I want to know what impact they see. Are they burning through current inventory? So I just haven't seen the price yet. Are they going to charge me now and worry about what happens later? I'm glad you're addressing that, because you're right. I think on the staff side, got a good handle on it. We're trying to, I think we're finally figuring out as employers, like the best way to interact with all the different demographics and psychographics of the people who work in our business. And okay, that's good. But now we've got all this uncertainty. So I'm with you. I didn't, that exchange rate's pretty high with Canada, but we still had a great year at Augusta Ranch once again. I look at trimesters at Augusta Ranch in the Arizona market, Jay. It's good for me to go, let's go January instead of March. Let's go January to April, because then I truly see what I'm doing at Augusta Ranch. The middle trimester is the summer. I'm going to lose a whole bunch of money. And then the last trimester, I try to break even. We had another banner year at Augusta Ranch, our best year ever. That first trimester, January through April. So people are still playing. I think the revenue management stuff is working, the dynamic pricing. I know we're going to spit, but the uneasiness, the uncertainness of the expense side of things used to be the price of gas. Now it appears to be the price of just doing business. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we also got to kind of pay attention to sentiment versus data and actual behavior. If we believed everything people said, what they said they were going to do, we would. I'll tell you what, we shouldn't build a business around what people say they're going to do versus watching what they actually do. And so we obviously welcome our Canadian and European friends to play golf in America. And come. The people and the golf resorts, we're here to welcome you, no matter politics. It's like golf transcends politics in many ways. It brings people together, all that kind of stuff. And so we're always going to be welcoming to no matter what the politics of the day are, in our industry, that's for sure. But I do want to recognize the state commissioners in Oklahoma who just opened up the brand new Oklahoma Golf Trail. Rachel Carter, our Senior Director of Membership, has been working with them now for 2 years, and NGCOA members are doing some exciting things in that market. So I want to give a shout out to Andy McCormick, who is our ambassador in that state. So way to go, Oklahoma, in believing in the power of golf and building your golf trail. So I'm sure OK Golf is going to be in that motto there somewhere. Excuse me. Also, Google, with Google entered the tee time space in 2024, NGCOA is about to put out a resource directing owners and operators on everything they do to optimize their Google online booking button, as well as identifying which golf management software companies have made the connection for you and which have not. This is a peer pressure moment right now, Don, because most of the golf management software companies still have not programmed the online booking buttons for their clients. And to me, I think it's just falling down on the development list for a lot of these folks. And this is something we need to happen. We need to have happen. So just as the encouragement to the GMS sector out there and to the golf course owners and operators to get those connections made so that you can have your book online button on your Google business profile. So we'll have a resource on our website here soon to direct you on what to do in that regard. Have you done that, Don? Is your software company, you got that button up?
Oh, it better be. That's a good question. I know I reached out to Brett Darrow and Mike Lassalot with Sagacity just to make sure we were okay with that, but I haven't double checked. Like I said, it's all crazy for the last 30 days, but I was certainly checking.
Taylor, this is your moment.
Taylor,
look it up. Look
gosh.
up Augusta Ranch on Google. Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go.
I hope I'm okay, please. I hope I am.
While he's doing
example.
While he's doing that, I just want to make sure folks know about our new NGCOA Advocacy Angle podcast with hosts Michael Williams and Ronnie Miles to cover the topic of advocacy items and interview guests to keep you informed. So go to ngcoa.org/advocacy to check it out. There's so much happening in this space. We thought it deserves its own podcast. So stay tuned and pay attention to that. All right, Taylor, what you got for me? Anything yet? All right, we're going to see if we can book all good.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you for the team at Augusta Ranch. Thank you for making me look good. That was close. But I will say, some people don't think it's necessary, Jay. Like, we've been ahead of things for a long time, you and me, and NGCOA certainly has. And I think we have to reach out to other golf courses and just simply tell them, hey, maybe we got to do what Taylor just did. We got to check on their website and go, hey, man, I noticed that you don't have that. What software are you using? You might have to contact the software provider because they're going to respond to how many people are complaining. And if it's 2 people, they're not going to change anything. Strength is in numbers here. So let's motivate those who don't know they need to be motivated so they can motivate the software companies to fix this because it needs to be done.
Bingo. And let's recognize those that have done the heavy lifting already, and there are some that really got on this ball. I think this is a critical thing. This should be table stakes now for working with your GMS company is offering the Google online button. So the book online button. So anyway, check out our website for so many good things. All right. So a few topics. I do want to start with, obviously the past few weeks, the month of May was crazy for you. Taylor, roll the clip of Don handing out the trophy. If you've got that queued up, let's check.
1,000 volunteers that made this week just amazing. The Quail Hollow members and staff, their hospitality was just off the charts. The city of Charlotte and the great state of North Carolina, and I would say the most spectacular spectators in sport were here this week cheering on. I'm also really happy I'm here with the PGA of America's Reach Foundation, and I'm here with our junior leaguers. I'm here with the veterans of PGA Hope. I'm here with the fellows of PGA Works. On behalf of all of them and the 31,000 PGA professionals, I am here and ready to present our champion who beat the strongest field in golf. And when I give him the Wanamaker trophy, I think I might tear up a little bit. So it is my honor and a privilege to announce Scottie Scheffler as the 2025 PGA champion.
Don, thank you so much.
The clean cut.
I have 3 things I have to say that I think are hilarious. One is we had a rehearsal earlier that day, and I said, hey, is the lid going to come off? And they said, absolutely not. The lid will not come off. Well, the lid came off. The second one is, while I was practicing that, that's the first time we recognized PGA Reach, the PGA of America's Reach Foundation. And what were we going to say? We were going to say the veterans of PGA Hope. And, what somebody in the rehearsals like, this is what you say, Don, the PGA junior leaguers, the veterans of PGA Hope, the fellows of PGA Works. I thought it came across great, but it was more that I had to remember. And so then I was like, I don't want to put a card out there. I don't want to mess this up. But I thought it was cool that we added that. That was Nathan Carnes, our vice president, over a year ago, said we have to recognize Reach somehow. Whether it's on the first tee or on the championship 18th green, we have to do it. So kudos to Nathan Carnes for getting the staff to do that, which the staff came up with that idea, the high fives, which I thought was amazing. But here's the funniest part is when I was practicing the great state of North Carolina, I kept saying the great state of Nevada because I'm from Nevada. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like if I say the great state of Nevada, I will get booed by every North Carolinian who's there. And I wrote down on a piece of paper like 100 times, great state of North Carolina, great state of North Carolina, great state of North Carolina, because I was like, dude, you don't want to mess it up. And I was getting emotional because I don't know, man, who knows what through your head when you're talking and you're in front of thousands of people. And all of a sudden, all I could think of was like, how am I here on this putting green? And so I actually got ahead of myself. And when I said, I might tear up when I'm handing it to him, like, God, that was off script. But it was like I was kind of getting emotional, going, I need to get done with this and get this thing over with. But it was cool. On behalf of the PGA of America, we do such a good job, and I'm proud of the team that pulled it off. And Scottie's a great champion.
Oh, that's great. It's like when you watch, you and I do a lot of public speaking, and I could tell, even though you might have had a script and some notes to think about, I think you were in the moment. When you can see when someone's slowing down a little bit. Yeah. It's like fantastic job. You represent us all so well, and so kudos to you. I do have okay, we're going to bring up the spicy question. First comment, Don Rea. You ready for this?
Uh-oh. Yeah, I'm ready. I can't see it. What is it?
Here we go. From Harvey Silverman. Scheffler made a statement that live golfers left the tour and it's up to them to figure out how to come back. Strong statement. Where do you stand on a merger? That will never happen. We know how Harvey feels.
Well, I think, the PGA of America is all I can speak for. And we absolutely want the best players playing in our championships. That's why any of the live players can play in the Ryder Cup. That's why any of the live players can play at the PGA Championship. There were actually, did you know you have to be a member of the PGA of America to play in the PGA Championship? You have to be a member of the PGA of America to play on the Ryder Cup team. And there were some players that hadn't paid their PGA of America dues. We had to get them to pay their dues before Thursday of the opening round. And so, I don't know what the tour is going to do. I do sit on the tour policy board as president of the PGA of America. But, all those conversations are confidential and I'm just one person in the room. But whatever they decide, they'll decide, or if they decide not to do anything. But like I said, this is all about the best players playing for the American side at the Ryder Cup in September. And the best, we had 99 out of the top 100 players playing in the PGA Championship. So it was a great event, and I don't know what the tour is going to do. We'll see.
Yeah, I think we're all waiting to see for sure. Take Harvey's lead, folks. If you got questions for Don or myself, by all means, use the comment section. So great work, great showing of the first or the second major of the year here. Good work all around for the PGA of America. What a great week it was. So while that was here we go. Book online. Thank you. It's there. The book online button. Very good. Thank you, Taylor. All right. Appreciate that. Okay. So while I missed my first PGA championship in 10 years because I was at Belfast in Northern Ireland at the Golf Business Technology Conference of Europe. We've got our own Golf Business Technology Conference coming up this fall, but I was invited to come speak at that event. And it was my first trip to the great big island over there. And I ended up spending a 2-week, longest vacation of my life, 2 weeks traversing around Northern Ireland with my wife and a couple friends. And there we are. That's Abu. He's the founder of this inaugural event. And by all accounts, it went over great. And really, honestly, the shining topics there at the Golf Business Technology Conference were, no surprise, artificial intelligence and the impact it's going to have on golf. Gamified ranges, Don. It was Top Tracer was there, In Range was there, TrackMan was there. They are trying to make this explode in Europe, and it is doing very well in Europe. And that was the darling of the conference, to continue with the ubiquity and proliferation of gamified ranges. And then also I got to lead a panel on sustainability, environmental sustainability, and what technology is being brought to the industry to solve for some of our environmental challenges and opportunities. So great few days in Belfast. Thank you to Abu and the team there for putting that on. So that was a big travel opportunity for me. And then right before that, I was at the Associated Luxury Hotels International. So some of the best hotels and golf resorts in the world, Don. I was able to get on stage with their CEO, Michael Dominguez, and talk about the golf industry and all the exciting things happening in golf, because these resorts, and hotels, they invest in amenities. And now that, their faces were lighting up when I was talking about golf, in the small footprint of golf, whether it's simulators, gamified ranges, souped up putting courses, that they just put one in over at the Atlantis of the Bahamas where this conference was held. So to be able to kind of preach the good story and good work of golf, and these are the investors and the salespeople and the CEOs of hotel companies listening to this, might give them a little bit of encouragement to keep investing in golf as an activity at some of the world's best resorts and hotels around the world. So really good opportunity to be out there on the road and pumping up golf. So also, last time I saw you was National Golf Day in Washington, I guess about 3 or 4 weeks ago now. And just a quick recap is, there were 2 primary bills on the table that we were talking about. 3 really, but 2 that I think we really focused on is, one was the Farm Bill and ensuring that golf and turf grass research continues to be in the Farm Bill and get allocated the funding that we need to continue developing grasses that are more water tolerant, and so that we can reduce use of waters and other inputs. So that was an important message. And our PAR Act, House Resolution 1583, to get golf off that dreaded sin list. And we got more co-sponsors at this. It was a very successful National Golf Day. We picked up a lot of wonderful co-sponsors, and it was great. And Don, you've been at this a long time too, to see our members of Congress championing for us rather than just trying to listen to us. I mean, what was your take there?
Well, to your point, having a golf caucus now is huge, and seeing all the additional people that are on the golf caucus, and not because they play golf, because they understand what golf does for the economy. They know that we're stewards of the environment. They know what we do for philanthropy. We raise more money for charity than all the other sports combined. And so I think it's, we talked about this before, and it's like, is it an overnight success? I don't think so, because we've been grinding for a long time, and people before us, Jay, were grinding for a long time. But that's what it takes. Slow and steady pressure all the time, reaching out to your legislators for them to understand the goodness of golf. When only 8% of the population plays it, then we have to explain why that impacts the other 92%. And it's because of the things we just talked about. So I applaud you and what you've done, even when you go globally like you just did. It's still bringing awareness to the game of golf, and that the Americans know what they're doing. And that helps us when we talk to legislators, here in DC. So I can feel it. Where before it was hard to see an actual congressperson, got a lot of LDs and LAs, and nothing's wrong with legislative assistants and legislative directors. Heck, they're the ones who give the intel to the legislators so that they can do the votes that they got to do. But man, now I'm seeing that when I'm talking to a legislator, they are listening, because they didn't think golf was impactful or relevant to their constituents. And now they understand, for a variety of reasons, that we are important to any economy, whether that includes golf or not. I mean, and because some of them don't want to think that golf's included, but as you talk about screen golf, you talk about, all the different pop shot places or pop stroke places that are out there, people are playing golf and they're spending money, and that's good for an economy.
There were 2 signs to me in the last 6 weeks that told me that things have really changed. One was, and I think we covered this in our last show, but that Senator Cruz's office reached out to us to talk about daylight saving time and the impact on all that, and then developed a hearing and invited us to obviously speak at that hearing, right? That was like when they reached out to us, big deal. Then after National Golf Day, I get a call from Senator Lindsey Graham's staff basically saying, look, the Sunshine Protection Act in the Senate, they're coming to our office and asking how we feel about it. Will we sign up for the Sunshine Protection Act? They called us, said, Jay, what do you think? What do you think we should do? I thought that did not happen 5-10 years ago, right? And so things are starting to change, and it's a very positive change for the industry. So even though we had some wonderful momentum, we did learn that with Trump's and the Republicans, the one big beautiful bill that was passed by the House did not contain the PAR Act. So it did not contain the act, but we're undeterred. The act is still alive in Congress. It's not like we got to start over. It's just maybe that we need to attach it to a different piece of legislation later this year. So the momentum is good and so forth. Oh, thank you, Harvey. Harvey commented that California actually, there was a bill to make standard time permanent in California, which would have been harmful to the golf industry. It failed to get out of committee. Thank you to Craig Kessler, who runs the California Golf or Alliance for Golf, different Craig Kessler than the one who just became the LPGA commissioner. Our local Craig Kessler down there in California. Thank you to him in the California Alliance for Golf for protecting the industry on that front. Now, I will say we're seeing in 14 states right now, and I want to talk about this a little bit, Don. We're seeing in 14 states some new legislation that is looking to curb, reduce, or eliminate or make illegal dynamic pricing. All right. Now, we talked about this a little bit on the show, and we're still looking to have a dynamic pricing subject matter expert, especially someone who's in favor of killing it, on the show for a little crossfire kind of conversation. We've yet to find someone with the fortitude to get on our show and debate us on this, but we're still hunting for that person. But I think, and this is where I want to split the hair and talk about this with you, Don, because I know there are golf course owners and operators like you that have been using dynamic pricing tools now with great success, significant success. Our friend, Whitey O'Malley out there in Denver, Rock Lucas, and others have been using it. Now, I think what's at play here, or the sentiment here, is that it feels like price fixing or collusion to the consumer. All right, and here's why they're thinking that. It's illegal for owners of operators of any business to get into a room, compare prices, use prices, say, and use that to lift prices, right? Some of the dynamic pricing tools out there in the universe, not just golf, actually mostly outside of golf, they're using competitor data and pricing of competitors to set rates on set it and forget it. You hit the automate button and tell the system to basically, and you can set a floor, never go below this, but keep going up as long as the algorithm says prices are going up. Let's follow suit. Let's go up. As an Airbnb host here in Charleston, I've been using their smart pricing feature for 5 years. I know what my floor is. I just set it. Whatever the demand is telling me or telling them, they do it. Now, I think what's at play here is if a dynamic pricing tool, let's say at Augusta Ranch, is only looking at data and inputs at Augusta Ranch, or let's say traffic to your website, or maybe even the weather is just absolutely perfect, or other factors happening at Augusta Ranch or in Mesa that might cause, the system to confidently raise the price because they're seeing these signs of demand, that's one thing. If it was taking you and your 10 competitors in the area and it sees that 9 out of your 10 have raised rates and yours goes up because the others have gone up too, that's what's in question here, I think. Because what's behind that, it's almost like just owners blindly participating in collusion of some way, right? So how do you feel about splitting the hair on that? Do you think that's a fair thing to split the hair? Do you think, oh, no, this is good the way it is? It's early in the game. We're not going to be held liable for what we say here. We're having a conversation, right? And so I just want to kind of get your take on the inputs into dynamic pricing and how the algorithms take these inputs and lift prices.
Yeah, I mean, as an owner, I can see how it could hurt me, right? Say it's the cost of seed, the cost of sod, the cost of sand, some of the things that I have to have, right? These cost of goods sold that I have to use in order for my facility to be in the conditions that I need it to be. So I don't want to be impacted by collusionary pricing out there. I don't want to. And I certainly don't want to be party to it as an owner operator of a golf course. I'll talk about the inputs in a second, Jay, but I will say that I like to call it personal pricing. I still believe at Augusta Ranch, I have from some price sensitive people. I have to have price sensitive products for those price sensitive people. Now, if they're time sensitive people, yes, there's going to be a higher rate on Saturday morning. And because I'm going to make more on that, that allows me the flexibility to give a better rate to those price sensitive people, or maybe those people who are really loyal to Augusta Ranch Golf Club. People are flying in for 4 months, January through April. They're Canadians or Midwesterners, wherever they're coming in from, and they're playing Augusta Ranch. Okay, there's a demand curve that's happening, and people are playing when it's really high demand. So I have to be able to raise my prices in order to take advantage of a static inventory, which is only 18 holes. I only have so many tee times a day. So I think the business person, the businessman or woman, has to have the flexibility to dynamically price based on what's happening on demand of their product when they don't have any more occupancy. Now, that being said, and once again, I think personal pricing, I got to have some personal pricing for those price sensitive people. Now, to your point, I think it's just going to get better, right? The hotel revenue management softwares that are out there, I know when I took the class at Cornell, whether they're looking into rain, of course, big events coming, the Waste Management Open comes to Arizona, I'm going to raise my rates. I know a bunch of people are coming in because of demand. Am I taking advantage of the consumers that are coming in? Or is it a demand-based deal where I need to make money while the sun is shining, right? I need to collect my hay. So I get why this could be turned in a bad way, and the DOJ or anybody else would say, hey, we should look into this. But I do think you could end up inadvertently hurting the people who are price sensitive. I know that I'm able to have punch cards at Augusta Ranch because I'm able to raise my rates when my demands are the highest. So don't take away this tool that allows me to be flexible, because, by the way, if you take it away from me, I still have to pay the prices because of seed, because of sod, because of gas. How am I going to be flexible to pay those additional increased prices when the demands are high for those, when the supply chains get jacked up like they did 4 years ago, right? So I think it has to be a holistic approach. You just start hammering the entertainment industry. I think that's going to be very difficult for any of us to survive it. But definitely, if people are getting a predatory practice, raising prices just to raise prices, or to your point, there's AI engines out there. And by the way, the first thing I'm going to do when I'm done with this podcast, I'm going on ChatGPT and I'm going to type into that question, give me 200 words on why dynamic pricing or demand-based pricing is good, for the everyday consumer, and then why is it bad? I like to, anytime I have a topic, I type it into ChatGPT and I put in both sides so I can better understand what's going on there. So I recommend everybody do that. But at the end of the day, I think it has to be, you can't do it completely holistically for everybody because it's just the free economy system. And to negate that, well, then I don't know. Then we're the Soviets.
Yeah, I know.
Well, come on now.
Hey, what timing, apropos here. Our friends at PriceSwing are watching right now.
Of course they are.
At PriceSwing, competitor market rates are not an input used by our dynamic pricing algorithm for the exact reasons mentioned. Pricing is tailored to the golf course and its golfers' behaviors. I saw Arnaud. I saw him at Belfast at this technology conference. So I'm not sure if that's you or not, but thank you for the input. I think what we're determining is there's a sensitivity here we got to pay attention to.
You got to do a startup for him too. He was way ahead of it. PreSwing was way ahead of this. This was like 12 years ago. I think he launched his product with Club Profit. Good for them. And doing it the right way. Well done.
Oh, hey, Taylor's done the homework for you. 200 words. Why is dynamic pricing good for the consumer? There you have it. All right. We're not going to read this on the air, but Taylor, he's just flexing. Taylor is just flexing right now.
He is flexing.
All right. Now, let's talk about tee times a little bit more on in pricing and all that. We've got some issues brewing in our industry right now, Don Rea, that we have not seen since the advent of golf management software and online tee times. We've got, Google that has entered the room. We've got, as Notify and NGF and others recognize, we have a $1 billion no-show problem in golf. You call it no-show, short show problem in golf. We have artificial intelligence entering the room where there's no question that golfers are going to be using AI agents, not ChatGPT necessarily, but AI agents to say, all right, I'm going to Mesa, Arizona area. I want to play golf Saturday morning. There are 4 of us. We'd like to pay this. We want to, this is our time, our window, show me what you got and facilitate the booking. Okay. That's coming. Well, when it comes, the question is, which tee times are surfaced? Why? How did that happen? Is the AI agent connecting with, because we're used to API connections and connecting to get inventory, or is it just reading the inventory, somehow pulling it in, and I gave the AI agent my credit card, and so it makes the booking for me as though it's me, right? And so, man, we don't know what's going to happen here. We got that going on. I can see you. I can see the frustration and exhaust. We go every 5 years or something major, but we got that. We mentioned on the show at one point, kind of the resale market is becoming a burgeoning market. The stub hubbing of tee times, the ability to acquire tee times and resell them on a different platform, which we knew this was coming, right? But the restaurant industry is dealing with bad actors through legislation in Florida and New York right now, where if you're a reseller of tee times, a reselling platform, a stub hubbing of reservations in this case, it's illegal to sell restaurant reservations unless you're working with the restaurant, right? And so this is a wild west right now, Don. And so I'm just going to tease this out a little bit. NGCOA is working on an initiative right now to bring together the tee time ecosystem. I won't reveal the details on that right now, but we're going to bring folks together in a room and we're going to workshop some of this stuff because we've got an exciting and dynamic future in front of us in the tee time industry, but there are issues and we need to make sure that it's a healthy ecosystem and nobody's there to take advantage of the industry. We don't need any more kryptonite in our golf economy. That's all I'm going to say right now. And so we're going to be launching an initiative here that we'll announce fairly soon, inviting the tee time ecosystem into the room. I don't know about you, Don, but I haven't seen this much activity in the tee time space in 25 years.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, we were struggling as an industry before COVID, let's be honest. And, hot deals are out there. They're trying to commoditize the business and they're, everybody's trying to package tee times because they couldn't sell them. Now we finally get it. We invent social distancing. People start playing golf. They're spending time together. It's no longer swing, stance, and score. Now it's about how much time I'm spending with my family. We actually start to make a little bit of money. Katie gets to go to college. And as soon as we start making a little bit of money, then here they come. Here comes everybody to take a piece of our action. And as long as there's white knights out there, I've heard you use that term before. And I think that is what this summit or whatever you're going to call it is going to do. And I think we have to be smart about this. I mean, heck, I was listening to Giddy and you are one of our independent board of directors on the PGA board. And obviously he spoke at TechCon a couple of years ago and maybe he could come back for us, but it's AI's coming. And so there's going to have to be legislation and we can't have the golf industry get left out of legislation. You know what I mean? Hey, the sin tax or not the sin tax, but the being
list
on the sin list, right, was not good. And if they ever use it again, just to make, when federal money's going out, it's going to hurt us. Well, there's other legislation that's going to happen too. We don't want to be left out. If it's part of the hospitality industry, then we need to be included. But I understand where it's going. It's like, man, as soon as you start making money, everybody wants a piece of your pie. Nobody cared at Augusta Ranch when there were more employee cars in the parking lot than golfers. And now my parking lot's not big enough. And now everybody's coming out to get a little piece of it, whether it's the resellers or whatever. And to your point, there's going to be a lot of pay for play when it comes a part of this. So if there isn't a policing agency, just like when you guys put together the barter, how to deal with barter, which educated the entire industry. The PGA of America's got to stand strong with the owners, superintendents, the club managers, the architects, all of us. If we're going to care about things like the rollback of the ball because it impacts recreational golf, then we all have to be in the same rooms when things like this could hurt recreational golf. And so let's make sure that it's a all-encompassing group, Jay, when you put it together, that it's everybody and anybody that's impacted in the recreational game.
It'll be very inclusive. And I got to say, I believe in the American marketplace system. So I'm not going to say we don't want all these companies coming in here because let competition, win the day. No problem. But our antennas are up for nefarious, unhealthy, or even unethical business practices. And NGCOA has become kind of the guardian on this issue, right? And so we'll remain as such. I mean, we're seeing some shady activity in this resale market where, resale platforms, whether it's using bots or whatever, are grabbing up tee times at golf courses that don't require a deposit. They might require a credit card number, but bogus credit card numbers are being used to make reservations to grab tee times to try to resell them. And if they don't resell them, the golf course gets no-shows. We're seeing this actively happen right now this year with some courses experiencing tens of thousands of dollars in losses and no-shows. So this is a serious issue, but it's also a pretty awesome opportunity. I'm not going to say the stub hubbing of golf is a negative thing because there's an awesome opportunity here for golf courses to win, for golfers to win if it's done right. And there are some players out there doing it right, I believe. So stay tuned on those issues, but I'm telling you, members and watchers of NGCOA, the next 18 months, you're going to see a lot of content around anything that touches the tee sheet or the wallet. There's a lot happening right now. We got to make sure that golf courses are being protected and their health is being supported here. Because a lot of these companies, Don, they stand in the middle between the golfer and the golf course. They're trying to be to have both parties in their marketplace. And I'm always challenging these tech companies. Who do you serve first? Who's a little bit more important in this balance between the golf course and the golfer? Because you're trying to serve both. And I'm always telling you got to serve the golf course first. Take care of their needs. Golfers will find golf courses. They'll find a way to make tee times. We almost don't need your help, to a certain degree in the demand. But You know what? But serve us, help golf courses be sustainable and successful, and then they can afford your technology, right? They can afford the irrigation systems. They can afford the capital improvements. No matter, we won't need a pandemic to give us what we need, right? We just need the business tools to help us succeed. So,
Right.
We're going to be on this case. So stay tuned for more content around the tee time and the wallet issues.
You know what I like what you said? I mean, disintermediation is just intermediation, right? We don't want it. We got to have a one-to-one relationship with our customers. Obviously, we know they're playing different golf courses, but still, I want a monogamous relationship with those who were playing my golf course. I had to move a little bit. I am in a live set right here, Jay. I'm in a live set. But I think we have to learn from the past, right? You're exactly right. When Golf Now started, it started as Golf 10, right? Then it was Golf 602 in my neighborhood. Then it was Golf Now. There is no doubt that when Brett Darrow started that company, the customer was the golf course. Don, I've got some software. You need a CSM tool. I believe I can dynamically price these tee times for you so that you can make more money when you're busy. I mean, that's how it all started. I didn't have the money for that software. Neither did the other 10 golf courses that started on that website. And so he said, can you give me the tee time before twilight? You can't sell it anyways. If you give it to me, whatever I make. And that's how I'm going to pay for this software. Now, that was good intentions. But then it turned out he had a growing database. And then all of a sudden he had to get rid of that tee time. So he was selling it for cheaper and cheaper. And I didn't have my rate floor anymore. And then when his company was purchased by Golf Channel, that's when it flipped the script, right? That's when all of a sudden the golfer was the customer, not the golf course. I remember asking them, it might even have been Will at Golf Now at that time, of like, who's your customer? The golfer. Uh-oh, we're in bad shape now. And so these are the things that we have to lay on these issues. Is I think you just nailed it, Jay. Is who's the customer? And just open-ended question. Who's your customer right now? I know I asked Jake that. For certain. I said, Jake, okay, you got this little thing coming out. Gonna have no shows. I love your software. Who's the customer? He said, Don, I'm gonna help the golf courses. Thank you, brother. And I hope he stays with that. And he has so far, and I actually believe in him, and I think he's got a great product. But that's the first question we have to ask.
You're referring to Jake Gordon at Notify, just for the audience.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. Notify.
Yeah, and I got to give a shout out to even like Jonathan Ride, who used to have Supreme Golf, and now he's got 10-4 Golf. Same thing. These guys sit us down and say, Jay, how can I make this better for the owner operator? So
Jonathan Ride. Yeah. Thank you for saying Jonathan's name, because he was caught in a couple different situations. And guess who? He decided that I'm going to defend the golf course. So God bless that man too.
Yeah. So stay tuned, folks. You can hear the passion in our voice. There's a lot going on here. All right, Stu Proctor, our PGA. Owning and using your data should be the key to anything you implement in regards to technology in your facility. 100% agree. Guardrails and regulations will need to be in place. Yes, thank you for that, Stu. Without question. And I think we have to understand, I don't think online aggregators, Don, I don't think are all bad at all. I think consumers love them. But it's the disintermediaries that we have to look out for. Those that are trying to stand between you and your customer under the guise of delivering customers, right? And so I think after 20 years of being in this business now, I think we know the difference. And so our antennas are sharper than they ever were in the past. And so look forward to some of these conversations. But thanks, Stu.
I have to say this real fast. It just popped into my head. But, the last day, it was a Memorial Day weekend. And in Brunswick, where Katie was graduating. And they had a farmer's market, right? Farmers there selling their goods, their produce, their vegetables and fruit, and they're selling it right farm to table. And as long as you're one-to-one, everything's good. But then somebody comes in, scoops up, and runs those farmers out of town. Now all of a sudden we are subject to whatever they want to charge. So to your point, give me a main street, let me compete against my competitors. But if you start doing aggregation, well, now it's going to be pay for play, then the free economy system actually does break down, because monopolies exist, which take our customers away from us instead of delivering them to our front door.
Absolutely. So, and I'll close out just on the topic of lawsuits and errant golf ball lawsuits. I think we announced maybe on our last show, because I think we put the news out 2 days before our last show, that we did end up winning. Cazenovia Golf Course did end up winning the errant golf ball suit on a unanimous decision by the panel of judges. So big victory for golf. It wasn't a week later that I get an email from the Dennis, the executive director of the Connecticut PGA section, saying, "Hey, I got a lawyer calling. There's another lawsuit where a golfer gets hit by a golf ball, and he's suing the golfer, not the golf course in this case." And we wanted to get a little bit of information. and where can we get resources? And apparently the golfer that got hit wants to sue based on the fact that the golfer who hit the ball did not yell for. And basically it's putting the responsibility on the golfer for not yelling for. And even though it may have been a blind shot. I mean, as golfers, we generally don't yell for unless we see a golf ball going at a group of people. If it sprays right or sprays left and we can't see exactly where it goes, I've never, in 41 years of playing golf, I've never seen anybody yell for if it goes over a thing of trees or whatever it might be. Maybe the thing we should do. But what I want to put out there is if any golf course owners and operators out there are dealing with interesting lawsuits like, anything like this, let NGCOA know, because we are concerned about precedents, and effects that these may have around America. And we've got, a legal and advocacy fund that we've been now building thanks to the PGA of America, Titleist Yamaha Golf Cars, our Champion Circle members. We're building a war chest to help. Now, we can't be your defense, but we might be able to help here and there. And so let us know at the grassroots, anything big going on legislatively, lawsuits, liability that you think might have a big impact on the golf industry if things go south. So let us know, please. So anyway, Don, anything else for the good of the order before we close out our two for show?
No, I will say everybody always talks about work-life balance and, and some might say, oh God, Don's been holding up his phone the whole time, but we have to do it. Listen, Katie, I was supposed to be home to doing this in my living room with you and like we always do. And that's really what happened. It was like, Katie's like, Dad, I've never been to DC. I said, well, then I got points. Let's get a hotel room. We'll walk around and we'll see what we see and we'll go to dinner. And so you can make that decision, right? I mean, we survived. We've got 46 minutes of a nice podcast. We answered a lot of good questions. Harvey kicked in some stuff. And I think let's just do that. I mean, if anything, it's so easy to get caught up in all these issues. And we're going to run around like Chicken Little going, the sky's falling. When meanwhile, the people that are around us, the ones that we actually got in the business for, is for our families. We neglect them. So let's not do that. I promise to do the same, even though I'm president right now. You do the same, Jay. We'll lead by example, and hopefully everybody spends a little more time with their family. But I appreciate you understanding me being on my phone the whole time. And let's just leave this game a little bit better than we found it, even with this show. And I think we did today. I think we did.
We did. I have great gratitude for the cell towers in the DC area or the Wi-Fi at the at the Air and Space Museum. So thank you, DC. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you at the next show, and have a wonderful June. It's going to be June 1st here now. So have a wonderful month. Tune in soon. Take care, everybody.